Hey everybody. Hey sis. I'm sorry I'm late. It's Mercury retrograde. But I'm gonna blame it on. Alright, so I'm a little late. Um, but I'm sure more people will come in. But let he or she who is supposed to hear it. Okay. So I started talking about this, or I kind of went into the subject matter a little bit on YouTube, and I'm gonna have to hold my phone for a minute because it's like not charged. And I've been dealing with kids all night. Okay, so what I'm discussing tonight is hey, um, is the fear of female fury. That's what I decided to type it because I like a title it because I like alliteration. But what we are talking about and discussing today is anger, and particularly black women, and how it has been used to weaponize. Um, oh, good. How it has been weaponized against us, right? So I will quote a scholar and priestess that I follow. If you do not follow her, and you're interested in womanism and feminism and the plight, or I shouldn't say the plight, the life of black women and African spirituality, I would advise you, if you have not done this already, go follow Got, the number two, the letter B, Oshun, Oshun. Um, she is an amazing teacher, and I've learned a lot from her. So I'm going to quote her a little bit. Um, and she has stated that black women and girls are not seen as human, right? And I remember the first time I heard her say that, I was like, wow, that's a really heavy statement. Like, to say that black women and girls are not seen as human. However, although it was a heavy statement, it did resonate with me. And thank you, as I've continued to live in this black female body in America, in the United States of America, I have seen more and more instances of this being true. And I'm one of those elements I'm going to talk about today. Um, I have a very interesting relationship with anger, right? Growing up, I was conditioned, as were many women in general, no matter what their race are, is to be ladylike, and being loud and being abrasive was not, it was frowned upon, right? It's not kosher female behavior, not behavior fit for a young lady. And I grew up in the southern part of the United States, so manners is really big as well, and within the culture of Southerners. And so I was really expected to dial it back a little bit when it came to me being angry. As I got older, I realized there were lots of parts of my personality that people expected me to dial back. But specifically here, we're talking about anger, and the repercussions of said anger. And um, some of the things that I noticed is how, or one, I'll say this, let me back up. So, one thing that I noticed as a young woman who was very vocal and very um, uncompromising, honestly. I was a very uncompromising child. And it was cute until I got to be a certain age, and it wasn't really so cute anymore. It was considered being sassy and being smart, um, which has a negative connotation for those of you who don't speak AAVE. I don't understand black mamas. Um, so that was, my attitude was frowned upon. Like I said, as a child, it was cute, but as I got older, it was like frowned upon. And honestly, I didn't realize that until my 20s. Like, I didn't really understand why people started being mean to me when I got to be like 14-ish. And I've heard other women say this is a similar thing. I think it has something to do with hormones and menstruation and puberty, and um, families not welcoming womanhood in teen girls, like, it's like, oh, she got her period, that's gross. But that's a whole other conversation for another day. Okay. But I mean, as you know, teenagers know, they you know, we all got, you know, big britches and had a smart mouth and, you know, thought things that we probably shouldn't have been thinking, and had attitudes with our parents and like that type of stuff. That type of stuff is coming, right? You know, the sassy teenager. Like I said, I've been like this my whole life. I've been the kid that said the things. You know how people post things on social media and they're like, oh, these kids just don't care. They'll just say anything. I was that kid. Okay. I was that kid in the 80s. Like, my grandma would be like, oh, she'd been here before. Because I would say stuff like, they were just too mature for my age to be saying. Like, oh, she's too big to be wearing that dress. Like, stuff I had heard other grown folks saying. So, you know, I acted older than my age. But one of the things that people knew about me is once I was pissed off, I was pissed off. Okay? And I just wasn't going for it. Like, I remember being in school. I was really young. This might be like first grade, second grade or some shit. And a kid hit me. And I told my teacher because I didn't grow up with a mama that told me to hit people back. Ironically, right? If she did, I probably would have hit a lot of people because I didn't, again, I'm not a forgiving person. Like, I have a video on here that has like tens of thousands of views, I think, of me talking about how I don't forgive people. And I'm really serious about that. I forgive people when there's been an atonement. But as far as the notion that black women and black people are often given about just being forgiving, that I'm not that person at all. You have to go back to my Rolodex of videos to watch that. So I remember the teacher making the kid apologize to me. And then she was like, well, Jay, do you accept his apology? And I remember being like, no. And my teacher was like, why don't you accept his apology? And I was like, well, he hit me. And she was like, but he's saying sorry. And again, I'm like 6, right? I'm like 5 or 6. So I don't even really understand. But looking back, I understand now why I had the type of behavior. Like, I mean, I understand that we're not animals, but if you think about like primal behavior and mental processes, like, animals don't be like, oh, okay, well, you know, you attacked my young, I'm going to let you slide. Like, that's not normal, right? Or you threatened my livelihood, right? I'm gonna let that slide, right? No, that's not what happens. Black women, and in my experience as a black woman, and you can holler if you hear me, black women, in my experience as a black woman, I have always, and I do mean always, I've always been told to take the high road. Like, I'm not even gonna fucking front. It pissed me off to see Michelle Obama up there talking about, they go low, we go high. I was like, why would you do that? Like, I don't even understand that. That doesn't really make any sense to me. And again, there's so many images and stories of docility that are fed to black people, right? But then when you're a black woman, it's fed to you to the power, because you're also supposed to be, you know, if you grew up Christian, you're supposed to honor your husband. You're supposed to follow him. He's supposed to lead. And then if he cheat, you're supposed to stay. It's like all this crazy stuff, right? With women, that it's like, it's almost as if, okay, I can probably set my phone. It's almost as if I mean, it's not almost. They, in fact, they do not want you to have a voice at all, right? They do not want you to have a voice as a woman. So I was talking to I've actually been wanting to do this video for a while, but I've been super busy. So I was talking to my best friend about this, and we were talking about work. We're talking about being in a corporate or some type of professional environment and the type of microaggressions that black women deal with. And I mean, these are things that happen even outside of work. We're going to use work as an example because most black women have dealt with racism, sexism, or a mixture of both, just overall mistreatment in the workplace, which is a whole nother video because we create the workplace. But I'll talk about that another time. So, we talked about our different experiences that we've had at work. And one of the experiences that I shared was an experience that I've talked about before on YouTube and about in other videos. Hey. And I talked about a little bit on the live that I started on my Facebook, was about me getting this Caucasian male manager who was treating me very poorly, disrespecting me, picking on me, withholding raises from me. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot. And that's one thing I realized about myself too, is I have always been the type of person where I will let stuff pile up. And I've had to learn over time that you can't let stuff pile up. You have to nip. Like, this is like power 101, boundaries 101 for real. It took me a long time, but I used to let things pile up before I said something about it. Now, in some respects, this has actually helped me because by the time I presented my evidence of sexism or racism or crazy baby dadism, I had years or months worth of documentation, right? So that helped me. But it was a constant thing. It was like from job to job to job. And I started to feel like it was me, right? Like, why do I keep getting mistreated on these jobs? Why do I keep having these problems on these jobs? Why am I meeting other black people that are having similar problems with their jobs over time, you know? And my theory is this. In the experience where I did get my Caucasian male manager, who was friends with our department head, demoted, and I go through all of that. Are you okay? Yes. What do you need? Okay, well, hurry up. When I got him demoted, and I say all these titles and to help you understand the hierarchy that he had, okay? I was living in Texas, okay? In Texas, black people don't even matter in Texas. It's still like 1925 out there. What do you need? Oh, that's what you want? Okay, go lay down in your bed and I'll bring it to you. But you need to go lay down. That's the most racist place I've ever lived, and I'm from Mississippi. Texas is the most racist place I've ever lived. I stand by that. I've always said that. You can kind of get around some shit if you're pretty out there, but it's an interesting place. So I'm pretty much in the land of, you know, just white male, right? And I have this white male manager who's friends with another Caucasian person who is our department head. So, and this person's picking on me. Now, in most cases, right, when the popular person is picking on you, what do? Most people don't do anything. This is very common with black people. I don't know about men, but I know with black women. I know black women now, like, we'd be like, I'm going to HR, I'm going to HR. 10, 12, 15, 20 years ago, black women was not going to HR like that. Because they were afraid they were going to lose their job. Even now, going to HR is considered a revolutionary act. Because black women have traditionally, I have watched this and I've done it myself, we do not tell when we are being mistreated. Zora Neale Hurston said, if you, I do not know the quote fully, but she was like, if you allow them to hurt you, if you don't speak up about your pain, they will say that you enjoyed it. I'm paraphrasing because that's not the full phrase. But black women are literally told not to express their discomfort. Their discomfort. And that's why that quote is so revolutionary to me, because I didn't realize until I got older that every which way I was turning, I was always being told to be the bigger person. Don't go to HR. Don't call the police on that nigga. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. And what happens is you end up protecting everybody else. Like right now, I have a situation where if I would have called the police and made a police report, if I would have called the police and had a nigga kicked out of my fucking house, I would not have, and this is like 7.5 years ago, I wouldn't have some of the problems I have now. But I did not want to be, we're conditioned to protect men, right? We are told if you're being mistreated on your job, just suck it up until you get a better job, right? Because you need your job, right? We do that the whole thing. And I know so many black women who are mistreated at work, in their marriages, by their family members, by their so-called friends, in all types of spaces, but they don't do anything because they do not want to be seen as the angry black woman. They're afraid of getting fired from their jobs. They're afraid of their husband leaving them, boyfriend leaving them. They're afraid of being excommunicated from their family. All of these different things because, really because they're worried about what other people think. But because they've been programmed and molded to being nicer than they actually are. What I have come to know about black women is we do have a very dominant and, for the weak, and intimidating aura. That's real. At first I was like, wow, what is this about? People be like, oh, black women shouldn't be seen like that, and they shouldn't be seen like this. I think that our energy shouldn't be demonized. But it is, because we're the only ones that have it. Right? We're the only ones that have it. We're the only ones whose level, when black women get really mad for real, shit be shifting. Tell me I'm lying. When black women get mad for real, the ground shakes. And I mean that figuratively and literally. Things shift when black women get mad. So again, this is my mental process when I was kind of like getting this download, is like, this is why there is such a concerted effort into keeping you as a black woman quiet. Everybody pushes against you when you want to speak up for yourself. And then this made me think about the Shirley Chisholm movie where Regina King played her, and how all of the men who said they had her back flipped on her. All of them. This, strong, confident black woman who was trying to create some type of, equal rights, just try to fix, trying to fix the U.S., trying to fix the mess that is here, the societal mess that is here. And these men who know she can make impact and make change, they flip on her at the end. And what I noticed with the way they treated Shirley, even though she was intelligent, even though she was sharp, even though she was able to pull money out of freaking nowhere, they kept trying to paint her as difficult and like, we're not going to listen to her and she's too overbearing. And it's like, no, it's just you guys can't deal with that amount of energy. And no, because y'all know if she gets into office, like, it'll be freaking utopia in this bitch. And y'all know it. And y'all have to keep the chaos going. So, of course, you're going to keep her out of office. I mean, we just got our first female vice president, and like, you don't even see this. You don't even see this woman anywhere. Like, I haven't seen her. I think I said that like 4 videos ago. I still ain't seen her for real. I saw her on Real Housewives, not Real Housewives, Married to Medicine, when she was talking to her sorority, her soror, or whatever. Which, anyways, I'm not even gonna go into that. So, anyways, they treated her badly because she was outspoken. It's like an ongoing thing, like with this, like, women who choose to use their voices, black women who choose to use their voices. There's always this, and I think you have to understand and you need to absorb the fact that there has to be a reason why there is so much energy in keeping you quiet, making you be quiet, keeping you from speaking up. Because think about it, if you believe all of that shit, if you believe all the shit right? All of this shit. Oh, you're a black woman. You're oppressed. If something's going on at your job, nobody's gonna believe you. If somebody sexually harasses you, nobody's gonna believe you. If you get raped, nobody's gonna believe you. They're gonna blame you. If you believe, right, that this system is going to fail you, right? And I'm not saying that it doesn't fail people, right? I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying that it's the best system in the world. But I'm saying if in your mind, if this culture can make it to where in your mind you believe that your existence does not matter. You're just here to produce goods and to buy shit and to look pretty, but you don't really matter. You're just a workhorse. You don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. You're just one of the Sims on the video game. If you believe that, you are just like the kid at school who's being bullied, who's like, well, I'm not gonna tell tell anyone anyway. Everybody loves Johnny. He's the quarterback, and everybody loves him. If I tell my teacher, if I tell the principal that he's punching me in the face every day, no one's gonna believe me. As long as you feel like no one's gonna believe you, or that you can't run for office, or because you got 3 baby daddies, you can't do this, or because you've never been married, you can't do that, or because you're too dark skinned, you can't do that, or because you got natural hair, you can't. As long as you believe all of the things that they tell black women that they can't do, involving speaking the fuck up for yourself, reporting motherfuckers when they're sexually, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and financially abusing you on the job and at your motherfucking house. Okay? If you feel like you can't do any of that shit, if you still feel like it's 1820 and you can't fucking do anything, as long as you believe that, you are serving the powers that be that work to keep people oppressed. So recently I had to do something that was honestly very scary for me, and I had to assess why it was scary for me. So it was a case of somebody really stepping out of their professional bounds and talking to me like they didn't have no motherfucking sense. And it was in a space where that should have never occurred, because people have licenses and have gone to school for a long period of time and are supposed to be able to conduct themselves as professionals, right? But that's not what happened, right? And I think that this individual looked at me not as a brilliant, educated mother, author, herbalist, astrologer, model. She doesn't look at me that way because of this is what I have perceived, because of her personal biases, right? I think she sees me like, look at this black single mother, right? Even though she knows I'm educated, and she knows like I have my own place, and she knows like I have my own car, and I'm not, and no shade to anybody, but like this is not a like to be sob story, okay? Like, I'm not, there's no destitution here, right? And she knows that because this person has been inside of my home and has seen, my full fridge, and she's seen my vehicle, and she's seen that I'm okay, right? There's no depravity in my life, and I'm fortunate to have never lived in a space of depravity. I've never had to live hand to mouth. I've never had to starve. My mama never had to, walk with me to the store because we didn't have a car. I don't know what that's like. And there's no shade to anybody who may have had that story. I just grew up middle class, right? And so I can tell that this individual, although they are not supposed to have any biases towards me because of what they do, she was talking to me like she had lost her motherfucking mind. And I remember being very frustrated and very upset during the conversation, even to the point where I actually ended up crying because I was so frustrated with how she was talking to me. And in that moment, I really wanted to cuss her the fuck out. I mean, I really, really, really did. What do you need, ma'am? Hold on, let me tend to my toilet real quick. Is she supposed to be in the bed? Got your bonnet on, girl? You cute? I love you cute. Go ahead. You gonna turn off the light? Okay? You need to stop getting up. You're doing too much. I'll come in here in a sec. Okay, so like I said, so this woman, she was talking to me like she didn't have no motherfucking sense. And so I really wanted to curse her out because that, again, like, that's always my first mind, is to just curse a person out. But because I have been programmed and because I have been trained by Southern women, I do have a certain level of restraint. And honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, there are certain times I hate having that type of restraint. Sometimes I wonder if my ancestors were like warrior women or some shit, because I be wanting to just go straight for the jugular. And I'm learning as I'm growing that yes, I have the wisdom and I have the maturity and I have the poise and I have the tact, right, to refrain from cussing a motherfucker out. But I think there are a lot of motherfuckers that really do need that smoke. Like, black women, we have to stop trying, because we have no problem cussing each other out. We have no problem cussing black men out. And I'm not saying go on a rampage on non-black people. I'm not saying go on a rampage on anybody, right? Use, your wisdom. I'm not saying beat nobody ass. Whatever you do, you are completely responsible for your own actions. But what I'm saying is, in that moment, in that conversation, looking back, had I been less stunned by the disrespect that I was receiving at that time, I think I would have said, stop. This conversation is over because I don't like the way you're talking to me. We don't do stuff like that. Or you could go all the way to the left because motherfucker out, right? I could have cursed her out as well. But we don't do stuff like that because, again, we're always afraid of what another motherfucker gonna think. Is Ray gonna be mad at me? Am I gonna lose my job? Is this gonna affect this? Is this gonna affect that? And that's not it's not wrong for you to not want to damage relationships, right? But it's wrong for people to try you with the expectation. Like, I think because this individual already has a bias towards me as a single black mother, I think that she, I think that she, I think a lot, I know a lot of the times people try black women because we are known for not, like, we'll cuss each other out, but we won't rock the boat. When I say we won't rock the boat, we don't file complaints traditionally. I'm not saying, you might know a black Karen somewhere. I know some. They will file some shit in a minute. They will call the police in a minute. They will get some shit on paper. They will bust out their phone, start recording in a minute. But the majority of black women I know, they have and all black women know that the angry black woman stereotype is bullshit. Every black woman knows that. What happens is that when we do express our anger, one or two things have happened. We've waited a long time and let that shit build up. So when it does come out, it does seem maybe over the top to some. Or the level of passion and the level of power that comes out when a black woman stands up for herself or she snaps on a motherfucker, I really truly believe it causes a fear in people who are not used to that energy. Like, somebody who's been around black women and knows black women, whether you black or white or whatever, they can grasp it, right? Like, when your mama is pissed, and when you better not say nothing because she's past pissed and you are in fear of your life. Like, in real life, like, every black person understands that, whether it's your mama, your grandma, your auntie, like, you understand that, right? And you know that the threat of, I brought you in this world and I can take you out, you know that it's not a joke. You know that it's not a fucking joke. You know that shit is not a joke. Okay, if your mama, your granny is pissed off enough, you know it's not a joke. they know it's not a joke either. And they can feel that same energy. You might not be their mama, right? Where you are, but you might not be their mama, but they can sit that shit is so powerful. It does put the fear of God in them. So they go to exorbitant lengths to try not have to deal with it on that level. You simply speaking up for yourself in a meeting can get you fired, and you're like, why? This is unfair. This is racism. It's fear. And racism is rooted in fear. But it's fear. It's fear, it's discomfort, it's, oh my God, is she gonna come to work and blow this place up? They really do be scared though. Like, they really do be scared. So this is also why they try to minimize when you are pissed off. That bitch crazy. Yeah, you see her over there screaming, hooping and hollering and yelling. That bitch just, yeah. All of that, the minimum, or they make a joke about you when you're angry. I know one time I've gotten really, really mad and I was screaming and I know my voice was at the top pitch. I was like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm sure it sounded like Minnie Mouse or something, but I was really, really upset. And there were people laughing at me. And that made me more mad. What the fuck you laughing at, right? But then shortly thereafter, somebody just randomly got hurt. Like, they were off on their own, like they fell and they cut themselves and they was looking crazy. Like, did that bitch do something? I didn't do nothing to you. You was all the way over there, I was all the way over here, but you just pissed me off and I snapped and out of energy. Because stuff like that happens when women are mad, and it's a totally different ball game when black women are mad. They know that shit. Everybody knows that shit. And this is why they try to play you for stupid. This is why they try to get you to, if you do have an anger issue, they will try to poke at that anger issue to get you to do things. See, with anger, you do have to have self-control, right? You don't want to be the person that you're so hot-headed that now you've done something, you know, that you regret. Right? You want to definitely think through what you're doing. But we have to stop holding back the correction. Like, you gotta look at it like this. Like, we're the mothers of all of this shit. Okay? People need the correction. They need to be corrected. So, example, with the shit that happened with my job. He needed to be reported to HR and to upper management, right? Nobody else was going to, not no other black person at my job, they weren't going to do it because they were afraid, okay? One of my black female coworkers who actually was overqualified to be working there. I remember I had a bachelor's. This lady had 2 masters and was working on a PhD. And she was making the kind of money I was making, which was crazy. But you know, again, you know how they overwork us at these jobs, so underpay us and shit. So she was working there, already being underpaid, underemployed, and I made, I guess, the mistake of speaking about me finally reporting this individual to HR because she laughed at me. This is a woman who was a black woman about 12 years my senior at the time. Now I'm like I've been out of college like a year and a half, maybe 3 years. And I was already a mother at that time. And the issues that I had with that manager actually went on into me being pregnant, right? So I'm basically a mother of 1.5 children. I work full time, and I got somebody at my job that's fucking with me every single day. And me being pregnant is actually what made me go to HR, because I was like, I can't work here and be this stressed out during my pregnancy if this weird ass man is gonna keep bothering me. So anyways, I tell my coworker, again, this is an older black woman, and she was, well, you were with HR. And I was like, yeah, like, he's picking on me. Like, it's uncomfortable for me to even come up in here. And she was like, you'll go to HR. She's like, okay, sister soldier. And I was like, what? Right? Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, what she mean by that? We have to, again, I find it very interesting. because black folks, it's like we be so scared to rock the boat or say anything. Um, but yeah, she didn't have my back. She wasn't like, okay, girl, get your support, do what you need. No, she was making fun of me. So then, next thing we know, like I said, that he ended up being removed as my manager. Everybody was shocked. And I just was like, see, had I listened to you motherfuckers, I would have been sitting over here scared. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody. Again, and that doesn't help anybody. Like, if somebody's raping a child, right, what's the first thing they tell the child? Don't tell nobody. You better not tell your mama, I'll kill her. You better not tell so-and-so. Like, they always threaten the child to get her to not say anything, or him or her to not say anything. That's always the point. The abuser is always telling the victim to be quiet. Why do you think that is? Because the victim actually has more power. The abuser is feeding off the victim. And as long as the victim believes that they're a victim and that they can't break free from the abuser and they have no other option, they will continue to perpetuate that cycle. I have a really hard time with no, and I have a really hard time with someone telling me that that's just how it is. I'm not, like I said, it took me a long time, probably like 2 weeks, to get up the energy to actually report this individual that I'm going to report right now. Actually, I have 2 people to report. Actually, because I had a very, I'm not gonna tell all my business, but I had a situation with a black male where he just inappropriately contacted me. And I tried to go above his manager because of the proximity that he and I are together. I tried to go above his manager to report it above his manager, but they didn't respond to me. So now I have to go to his manager. And there are also some sources that are telling me that I need to involve the authorities because of the nature of the issue. But again, most people, right, or most black women, we will just let the shit ride. You know what I'm saying? We just let it ride because we don't want to. You don't want to be difficult. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to seem like a bitch. You have to get to a point in your life where you don't give a fuck about none of that shit. The bottom line is, am I protecting myself? Is filing this report going to help you? It's not, because I know, so the reporting stuff, somebody was like, well, if you do this, this will help other women who, he could potentially do something to. And that's right? That's the whole point of speaking up for yourself, is the people that come behind you, right? It's so powerful. But at the end of the day, though, like at the forefront of the situation is me. Like I have to navigate this planet. And if you're making my navigation process on this planet difficult, and you think I'm supposed to sit back and let Jesus fix it, you got me fucked up. Because I ain't doing that shit. We're going to find a way for you to respect me. Either you're going to get the fuck out my face, or somebody above you, some type of source, is going to have to mediate the issues that we're having. Because I'm not going to deal with it. That's what I had to realize as I got older. It's like, I'm not going to deal with that. Like, I'm not going to deal with that. There are some people who will deal with so much bullshit because it's tied to a paycheck. You have to believe in the God in you that you'll be okay and that you're not gonna like lose everything because you quit a job with disrespectful ass people. Like you have to, but like, it's so ironic when I hear black women talk about faith and Christianity and Jesus, but they will stay at a job where they are being underpaid and disrespected on a daily fucking basis. And I'm like, where is your faith in this abundance? And where the threshold of black women being mistreated is too high. And there's some tables that need to be flipped. I said that in the other video. A lot of y'all are sitting at tables that God told you to flip. I told myself really last year, but this year, now that I'm officially out of my first year of postpartum life, right? I'm in my second year of postpartum life. And usually around my third year, I feel all the way back. But I'll say about 90% back to myself. And that other 10% it'll come. I feel like I got a lot of my fire back. I feel like I was already like, I'm not dealing with no BS no more. But since my daughter has turned 1, I'm really, really like, I have that. I got that fighter energy back. I got that Oakland energy back. And I really feel bad for niggas this year. Because I wasn't being docile before. I was being cordial before. And now I've realized I don't have to be fucking cordial with nobody. That is a program too. Oh, I'm just gonna be cordial and be nice. Right? And mind you, while I'm being cordial and nice, motherfuckers is doing all kind of shit to me. I'm not doing that no more. If you make my life difficult, I don't have to speak to you at all. Like, I will literally keep conversation. Like, I'm not going to be around you. Like, I'm going to, at this point in my life, I will go out of my way to not interact with someone. That's the level I'm on right now. Not that I'm afraid of anybody. But I'm not going to, like, I come from, it's so crazy. I have one ancestor that didn't play with niggas, and I have a whole bunch of other family members that are just very tolerant. They tolerate a lot of shit. And I guess because I spent so much time with that ancestor, well, she's now an ancestor, I don't understand it. Yeah, I got that too. It was always me being sensitive, them teasing me. I got teased for being sensitive and for being skinny. That was a thing in my family. She a skinny ass crybaby. They never said it in that sentence. That's the teasing that I dealt with growing up as a child. Is I was the skinny crybaby, right? But to be really real, like, half the time that I was crying, I wanted to fight, and I couldn't. Like, I couldn't fight a grown ass adult, and so I was crying about it. Yeah. But then these are the same people that call me when they can't pay certain bills. So, but when I finally snap the fuck off and I'm evil as hell, then I'm sensitive. It's so damn annoying. Yes, I agree. And so this is why I have embodied that energy. Like, yes, I am a sensitive person. Yes, I'm a passionate person. Yes, sometimes I cry, publicly, or I'll see a commercial and I'll start crying. Sometimes I will cry because I'm so happy. Like, I am an emotional person. Like, so for those of you who don't know astrology, like, I'm a water sign, right? My sun sign is a water sign, but so is my moon, and so is my rising, and so is my north node. And I know I'm probably getting really technical and nerdy as I continue on talking about my chart. But the majority of my stuff is in water. And most people know that the element of water is associated with emotions, right? I literally could probably live on a boat. Like, I am such a water sign person. I just love babies. Like I said, I will cry just over anything that brings me happiness. Or even if it's something that I didn't, that makes me sad or whatever. Like, I'll get emotional or whatever over that stuff. Like, I'm very tapped in with my emotions. I'm very self-aware. Like, every therapist I've had has told me, like, I'm the most self-aware person they've ever met, which I'm like, really? Are you sure? But I am very intuitive, like, all the water sign, feminine energy stuff, all of that stuff, because I have so much of it in my chart. Like, it's that the majority of my chart is water, like, the majority of it. So I've always been that way. And so this is also one of the things that drove a wedge between me and my family, to be honest, honey, is because I got tired of niggas sniggling and grinning in my face. And obviously this was the beginning of me learning to assert myself and learning to own my anger. Like, that's what this video is about. Like, own your fucking anger. It's okay. Everybody else gets to be fucking mad, don't they? People that only get to be mad, they get to disrespect you. They get to humiliate you. They get to fucking lie on you. Almost every black woman I know has a corporate, my coworker lied on me story, right? everybody gets to, and this is the thing, everybody keeps talking about karma and how you need to treat people the way you want them to be treated, and when they go low, you go high, all this shit. But you got people, I've seen people lie on black women and get them fired from their job. I've seen men beat their wives bloody. I've seen children be molested in homes where their mother is getting abused or whatever. The children are terrified of a man, and so is the woman. I've seen black women be talked down to. My great-grandmother told me that some of the people, white folks whose house she used to clean, their son would just defecate on the floor. If I had a nanny, I would never let my child defecate on the floor and expect I would clean it up if my child did that. I wouldn't expect my maid or my nanny to clean that up. Like, these are the type of things people do to black women. And then be like, I mean, you have to understand that anybody shaming you or teasing you or criticizing you in any way for being angry is in fact a terrorist. They are a bad person. Okay, thumbs down, boo, tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. You don't need to fuck with them at all. Like, you don't need to fuck with them at all. Anybody who will agree with your mistreatment is trash. Y'all know it's marriage coaches and domestic violence experts and social workers who will tell women to co-parent with a man who has abused them before. This is common practice. They'll tell you, because this is the whole thing. You're not fucking human anyway, right? Like, that's what they think. You're not human anyway. I don't have to respect you. I don't have to treat you I can treat you any kind of fucking way that I want to. And so then when you get mad, then I can be like, well, I don't know what's wrong with Keisha. She just blew up on us. Because now his ass is scared. Because he ain't never seen you angry because you've been quiet and you've been putting up with his disrespect for 10 months on the job. So now that you went off, he's flabbergasted, and he's also surprised at your audacity because he's probably never been chin-checked by a black woman before. He always gets to run to the boss and, Keisha's been on her lunch an extra 15 minutes. That's what he's been doing this whole time. And so now when you finally say something, when you finally do something, the manager may side with him or whatever, which is always what people are afraid of. But you have to understand, like, because he doesn't consider you human, and because he thinks of you as lower than he is, he does not expect you to report him to HR, right? That is the most tactful, poised, politically correct thing you can do, right? Is to report the issue, the ongoing issue, to HR, right? When I tell you, these people don't expect you to do this because they expect you, a non-human mule, to have such a high pain threshold and to be so used to fucking disrespect that you're not gonna say shit about it. I can talk to her crazy as hell as I want to in this interview because she ain't gonna do shit. I'm gonna tell her that we're gonna withhold her raise because she's not social enough. This happened to me for real. She's not social enough at work. I'm gonna tell her that because what is she gonna do? See, when I start calling managers and I start making phone calls and I start talking to congressmen and I start talking to like city councilmen, then everybody's like, whoa, 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 I didn't know. Yeah, because you thought I was stupid, which I don't know why you would think that, other than you having a stereotype of me as a black woman. Maybe you just thought we're all stupid. Or we're all docile, or I wouldn't dare say anything to you because I need this job so bad. That's what I think the problem is. I think people do this to us. I think we are mistreated in a lot of different places because they figure, what are you gonna do? I know for a fact that half of these goddamn husbands that dog these women out, of all races, okay? But these men that dog their wives out so poorly and do all these crazy things to them, knowing that they could get fucked up in a divorce, especially if their wives don't work. Knowing they can get fucked up in a divorce. They do it because you ain't finna go nowhere. Who gonna want you with all them kids? That's the type of shit they do. It's the same energy with people trying to always tone down your anger. It's always trying to tone it down. Oh, you just. And I'm gonna tell you, I personally feel like if a motherfucker tell you to be the bigger person, especially if you're so if I'm telling you, you know, this nigga kidnapped my child. He did this to me. He did that to me. He emptied my bank account when we were together. He did this. He did that. When you tell me be the bigger person, I'm going to assume and I'm going to believe that you want to see me humiliated. You like seeing me embarrassed. And you also like having conversations about the mistreatment in my life. Because you should want to tell me something to dead it. You should want to be like, girl, don't ever talk to him again. He is stupid. Sign the paperwork and move on. Not, well, just be the bigger person. And no. Why? It's because you don't see me as a full human being deserving of good treatment. Just say that. Just say, I just really think you ain't shit. Because that's really what it's reading to me. And I never, it's like, it took me, like, when I was younger, before I, like, thought deeper about things and I just assessed things, became more analytical, I never knew why that would piss me off. It used to piss me off when people would be like, just be the bigger person. Just take the high road. And I would be like, but they took the low road and they don't get any, there's no consequences. That ain't right. So now I give out consequences. You want to play with me? I'm going to play with you. You want to play with my job? I'm going to play with your job. You want to play with my relationship? I'm going to play with your relationship. We can go back and forth. Yes, and suppressing your anger will make you physically sick and bankrupt. And this is also why, what do you need? Go to your bed. Lay down. She's like trying to not go to bed. I'm about to make her go lay down. Yes, and so a lot of these problems, especially breast cancer in particular, a lot of these problems are due to suppressed anger. Because everybody gets mad, but if you're the demographic in this country that is told to siphon, to squelch your anger and not let it out, and you're being the mistreated the most in this motherfucker, what do you think is gonna happen? Of course you're gonna get sick. And that's what's wrong with a lot of our sisters. There are a few other diseases that are very common in Black women that are directly tied to anger, particularly if the health issue involves extreme inflammation. Inflammation itself is due to anger and irritation. Like you're irritated, like an emotional irritation, anger, frustration. That's where inflammation comes from. So if you have a chronic inflammatory disease, you need to go to a rage room and you might need to cut some motherfucker out. And again, I take it as disrespect because I'm not a tool to be used. So I had a situation where I had a family reach out to me when I was pregnant with one of my daughters. I don't remember which one, right? But they asked me for $500. And I was like, you got to be out of your rabbit ass mind. Because why the fuck would you ask me that when you know I have a baby on the way? I don't talk to that person anymore. I didn't even have to get jiggy with them. I just cut them off. But I do that to people when I'm tired of them. But, and my tired is not flippant, okay? Scorpios, we be hanging in there with motherfuckers, okay? We are some loyal motherfuckers. So if I cut you off When I tell you, you earned the fuck out of that shit, you earned it. If I hate you, you earned that shit. Yeah, you earned it. If I don't like your ass, when I tell you you earned it, you earned that shit. Yeah. So, I think when people do that, lean on you when you are not doing well, usually they haven't even asked if you're okay anyway. They're just trying to take from you. Again, this is black women being seen as you're just useful. You don't have feelings. You're not a human being. You're just useful. No. So yeah, when that person did call me while I was pregnant, asked me for $500, and I wasn't hurting. Like I wasn't hurting, or nothing, or down bad. But the audacity of it, though. The audacity of it. And I think the person did know that I was still in court with one of my or both of my children's fathers. So I was like, bitch, how dare you ask me for some fucking money? What do you need? No. You are, come here. You are ridiculously tired. Go lay down in your bed. Okay? Where's your blankie? I don't think you need to use that one. That one's gonna get washed. Go in your room and lay down, okay? She's struggling. She's trying to kick it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put her in the bed. But yes, they will try to do that. And like I said, I have always looked at that as a form of disrespect. If you know I'm going through shit, again, this comes back to the whole mule stereotype as well. Like this is why motherfuckers is angry. If you're gonna saddle me with more responsibility or ask me to come help you do something and you know I'm already going through some shit, no. Yes, you deserve to be cussed out. Yeah, I'm not doing that. And then, again, just like I was talking about with the bosses and the husbands and the baby daddies, a lot of times your family is the same way. What's she gonna do? Stop talking to me? I'm her auntie. What's she gonna do? Stop talking to me? I'm her grandma. So they disrespect you too because and what I've noticed in black families, if they're not healthy, a lot of times when the women get older and they become elders, sometimes they will be disrespectful to the younger women because they feel like it's their turn to disrespect the younger women the way they were disrespected. That shit ends with me. I'm not tolerating that shit no more. Like you were talking about with the teasing and stuff. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? You have young women growing up being teased, being mistreated. I have a whole lot to say about the fact that black women are not taught how to date at all, ever, unless your mother was fully in her feminine. And yeah, that's something that's extremely uncommon. I mean, there's so many different things. And then, so by the time you're 20, I mean, why wouldn't you harbor some type of resentment? And then when you get old enough, when you hit your 30s and the fucks start to wane, I heard when you turn 40, you really don't give a fuck. Honestly, I'm a little bit, I don't know what's gonna happen when I turn 40. Cause I'm already just like, period. Like I'm becoming, I mean, really, I say that, but again, looking back, there are certain things that I've tolerated as a black woman that I know a white woman would never tolerate because I wasn't told or shown what I should and shouldn't tolerate from certain spaces. And then I also was groomed to be very poised and elegant and like, you know, classy. So there are a lot of opportunities. I had a lot of opportunities to whip some ass that I didn't take because I did not want to embarrass people or be seen as her. Again, I didn't want to be seen as the angry. Again, this is what stops a lot of shit from happening. I didn't want to be seen as the angry black woman. But truth be told, there were tables that should have been flipped. There's, you know, boats that should have been rocked. There's a lot of things that should have occurred that didn't occur because I was worried about being stereotyped. Now I don't care. For real? What do you need? Why do you want to lay on the couch? She doing too much. I'm about to put her to bed. Does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, shares? Just lay down. Well, I hope this has been a fruitful conversation. And what I will say is, find a way to communicate with your anger and to channel your anger in the proper responses. Don't let your anger sit in your body, though. That's what I want us to stop doing. Stop letting your anger sit in your body because you're afraid you're going to piss off Brad, or you're afraid you're going to lose your job, or you're afraid. Because that's all I keep hearing is I'm afraid. Like, that it's not helpful for you. You have to really assess if you're coming from a place of fear when you're doing that. And also, what spaces can you go to where people are actually going to respect you, so that you're not in spaces where people are provoking you to anger. So develop a healthy relationship with your anger and allow that anger to help you to create healthy boundaries, so that people don't walk all over you. Don't let people walk all over you because you're too afraid to be called a bitch, okay? We ain't doing that in 2024. The North Node is in Aries, okay? This is nuck if you buck season. You gonna see it all year. People gonna be getting their asses handed to them on multiple different levels, and it's about to be real. We already see Diddy and a few other people, but it's, yeah. A lot of people are gonna have to deal with the fact that the people who haven't been able to speak up for themselves are gonna start speaking up. And so that's we're here now with that. You want me to lay you down?
No, stop pushing.
You want what?
Stop pushing.
I'm not pushing. I'm trying to hold you. Okay. Well, that's my night. I have Tyler that is refusing to go to sleep.
Mommy.
What? Y'all have a good night. What, Mama? I love you. Oh, you love me too. Child, let me figure out how to turn the video off.